Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. The waiter stepped over my foot by accident, and I barely noticed. I was too busy watching the way her earrings caught the light. The same earrings I gave her last Christmas when she said she didn't want anything except more time together. Now she was wearing them for him. They were 2 tables ahead, backs to me. I had ordered nothing, not even water. Just sat there, pretending to scroll through my phone while the ice in my gut settled in. She laughed. Not the polite kind of laugh I'd been getting at home, the short, tight ha that said she was tired. This was different. It was full, free. Her head tilted back slightly, and her hand brushed his wrist, as if she didn't even realize she was doing it. I was wearing the sweater she once called cozy like a hug. I wondered if she even noticed I hadn't worn it in 6 months. Not since she stopped hugging me. This wasn't some random cheating scandal. This was theater, a rehearsed production. A 2-person play with a closed curtain I wasn't meant to peek behind. And yet, there I was, planted at a table just far enough not to hear words, but close enough to feel every moment pierce me like splinters. She reached for the wine, poured it for him. Not something she ever did for me. Said it was patronizing to serve a man. I pulled the folded note from my coat pocket, already written before I arrived. I didn't come here to make a scene. I came here to make a point. One that didn't require shouting, one that didn't need witnesses, just one quiet sentence to undo years of pretending. The waiter returned. Young guy, probably new, nervous. I slid the note toward him and nodded toward her table. Please give this to the woman in the navy dress, I said, my voice quieter than I meant it to be. He hesitated. When? I looked up at her. Her hand was now on the other guy's forearm, her smile carving memories into someone else's life. When the check arrives, I whispered. I didn't wait for confirmation. I stood up, left a generous tip for taking up space, and walked out the side entrance like a ghost who'd finally accepted he wasn't part of the living anymore. Behind me, the note waited to be opened. Don't come back. Not to me, not to the house, not to the man who once thought silence meant peace. This was the end, but I hadn't realized yet. Endings can still explode long after you've walked away. I thought I'd feel relief the moment I stepped outside, like shedding a heavy coat after carrying it too long. But walking out of that restaurant didn't feel like freedom. It felt like floating, detached, like I had left my skin back at that table along with the note. The streets were buzzing, Friday night couples laughing, cars honking, music leaking out of open bar doors. All of it felt distant, like I was watching the world through soundproof glass. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just wandered, past the bakery where we bought croissants every Sunday morning, past the pharmacy where she once waited in the rain just to grab me cold meds. Funny how memories feel like betrayal once you realize the person behind them never meant to stay. My phone buzzed around 9:18 p.m. I didn't check it, just kept walking. By the time I made it back to my car, parked 4 blocks away so she wouldn't spot me, the windshield was dusted with night air and city grime. I sat inside, lights off, engine off, staring at the steering wheel like it owed me answers. Another buzz, then another. She was texting. I turned the phone over, didn't open it. Then came the call. Melody's name lit up the screen. No emojis. Just her name, plain and clean like the version of her I thought I knew. I let it ring out. 10 minutes later, another call, this time from a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Vernon? It wasn't her voice. It was a man's. My throat tightened. Who is this? A pause. Then, Owen. Look, I don't know what that note was about, but Melody's upset. She wants to come home and talk. He sounded calm, polite, like I was some minor inconvenience, like he hadn't just helped set fire to a marriage. I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was surreal. She wants to talk, I said. She didn't want to talk last month. Or last week, or yesterday. But now she wants to talk. Man, I don't want to get involved in your marriage, he said, his voice lower. You already did, I said, and hung up. I sat in the dark for almost an hour before driving off. Not home. I didn't even know where home was anymore. All I knew was that she'd read the note, and I didn't need to be there to hear what she had to say. The note wasn't the ending, it was the beginning of something else. And I had no idea just how fast things were about to fall apart. I didn't go back to the apartment that night. I turned off my phone and drove for hours with no destination. watching the gas gauge fall like a countdown to whatever version of me was left after this. Around 2:30 a.m., I pulled into a roadside motel an hour outside the city, checked in using cash, and collapsed onto a bed that smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and something older, like regret soaked into the walls. When I woke up, the light was sharp. My first instinct was to check my phone, but I didn't. I showered, dressed, and stared at myself in the mirror. I looked like someone who'd been cheated on. That hollow, heavy-eyed reflection wasn't unfamiliar, just finally honest. I left the motel just before noon, still didn't turn the phone on. I wasn't hiding from her exactly. I was hiding from the version of myself that might let her explain, the one who always forgave, even when he shouldn't. Meanwhile, back in the city, I later learned things unraveled fast. Melody came home to an empty apartment. No me, no note, no suitcase gone, just silence. She didn't expect that. She expected a fight, a confrontation, maybe even a pathetic plea to work through this. But I gave her nothing. That's when she started calling my mother, my best friend, Peter, even my work. "Have you seen Vernon?" she asked them all, her voice wobbling just enough to sound worried, not guilty. I was told later that she tried to report me missing. The police weren't exactly sympathetic. A grown man disappearing after learning about his wife's affair isn't considered a crisis. It's survival. By day 3, I turned my phone back on. It exploded with notifications, 17 missed calls, over 30 texts. The first ones were defensive. "You misunderstood what you saw." Then came the angrier ones. I deserved to go out once in a while without being tracked like some criminal. And then, after nothing from me, came the cracks. "Please come home. I'm scared. I don't know where you are." But she did know. She just didn't want to admit it. She knew I had seen everything, knew I'd been there, just out of reach, watching her betray me in a place I once took her to on our anniversary, and the silence I gave her afterward. That was louder than any confrontation ever could be. That silence, it started working on her, and what came next proved just how much she needed me to stay broken. On the 4th day of silence, I decided to do something I hadn't done in years. I opened social media, not to post, just to look, just to confirm that Melody was still the same version of herself she showed to the world, polished, composed, adored. But what I saw stopped me cold. She had posted a photo of us, an old one, from a fall getaway we took to Vermont 4 years ago. I remember that weekend because I caught the flu halfway through and spent most of it in bed. In the picture, though, we were smiling in front of a lake, wrapped in scarves, her head against my shoulder. The caption read, "Missing you. Come home, please." It had almost 100 comments in an hour. People were flooding in with sympathy, heart emojis, prayers. Her friends were tagging me. "Vernon, talk to her. You two are soulmates." Every couple hits a rough patch. The anger that built inside me wasn't fire. It was ice, controlled, slow. This woman, who looked through me for a year, who gaslit me every time I asked why we felt like strangers. Now she was publicly rebranding herself as the heartbroken wife. She wasn't trying to find me. She was trying to get ahead of me, controlling the narrative before I ever had the chance to speak. That post changed everything. Now, if I came forward with what I saw, I'd be the villain, the cold, resentful husband who abandoned his loving wife. Her affair wouldn't be a betrayal. It would be a mistake she made because I wasn't present enough. I realized then she wasn't cracking. She was recalibrating, shifting strategies. I showed the post to Peter that night, the only friend I trusted enough to loop into all this. He read it slowly, shaking his head, jaw tightening like he wanted to punch something but didn't have a target. "She's playing this like a PR campaign," he muttered. "Dude, she's prepping for something. I don't think she's just after sympathy." I nodded. I already knew what he was implying. She wasn't trying to fix our marriage. She was trying to salvage her image. And if I didn't act fast, I'd be erased from the truth altogether, repackaged as a husband who walked out on love, while she cried into a glass of wine under the dim lights of public pity. But I still hadn't decided how far I was willing to go. Not yet. I wasn't planning to check her laptop. I hadn't even thought about it, not until Peter brought it up. "You're still listed as an admin on her cloud backup, right?" he asked, like it was some casual question. At first, I brushed him off. I didn't want to be that guy, snooping, invading. But then I remembered the post, the comments, the carefully curated pain. I realized she had already gone public with her version. Why was I still playing fair, back when we were still us? We shared everything. Passwords, calendars, playlists, even that dumb grocery list app we never actually used. And sure enough, when I tried logging into her shared cloud using my old credentials, still saved in autofill, it opened like a forgotten door swinging wide. Most of it was mundane. Photos, work documents, a dozen half-finished Canva graphics for events she helped organize, but buried in a random folder titled April were screenshots, dozens of them, text threads. She'd screenshotted her messages with Owen, probably in case he ever tried to ghost her. Maybe she thought saving them gave her some kind of leverage. But now they were mine. Some were harmless flirtation, compliments, inside jokes. But one caught my eye. It was from the day after our anniversary, the night she told me she was working late. She had messaged him. He bought wine, made dinner. Poor guy. He still thinks he has a chance I don't remember standing up. Just remember the sting. My heart didn't break. That would have been merciful. It shriveled. The kind of pain that doesn't scream. It pulses, dull, endless, humiliating. But what hit harder was the voice memo she'd sent him the same night. I almost didn't listen, but curiosity is cruel. I pressed play. Her voice was breathy, excited. He looks so sad when I leave. It's almost cute, anyway. Can't wait to see you again. Last night was... I stopped it there. I couldn't hear the rest. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, unsure what I was even doing. I hadn't planned on using any of this. But suddenly, for the first time since all this started, I didn't feel powerless. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Control. I stared at the screen for nearly an hour. The voice memo kept taunting me, sitting there, one tap away, like a live wire in a puddle. My hands hovered over the keyboard, scrolling through those screenshots again and again until I wasn't even reading anymore, just scanning, watching the names, the emojis, the patterns of their language. She used to text me like that, once, before everything we said became about bills, errands, and whether or not we had milk. For a moment, I considered deleting it all, wiping the drive, logging out, and disappearing for good. There was a sick comfort in knowing I could vanish with the truth. Let her build her story brick by brick, while the foundation silently rotted underneath. But then I remembered her social media post, the photo of us, the caption, the comments calling me a ghost, a man who walked out without a word. She wasn't just rewriting history. She was casting me as the villain in a play she produced. That's when the idea came. I didn't post the screenshots. That would have been obvious, petty, easily dismissed. Instead, I created a new account. No name, no profile photo, just one post, an audio clip embedded into a dark background, no caption, no hashtags. I uploaded the voice memo. Not the whole thing, just the first 11 seconds, just enough to hear her mocking tone, just enough for the words to hit like a slap. He looks so sad when I leave. It's almost cute. I didn't tag her. I didn't need to. I knew how fast things traveled when they were anonymous and cruel, and sure enough, within 24 hours, the clip was being shared in corners of the internet she never bothered to explore, the kind of forums where truth burns hotter than gossip. By the second day, I got a message from Peter. "Did you post this?" I didn't reply. That night, Melody deleted the anniversary photo from her feed. 2 hours later, she posted something new, just a black square with the words, "Please respect our privacy during this time." I didn't like it, didn't comment. I simply watched. She was unraveling, not because I exposed her, but because she didn't know who did. That was the beauty of it. For once, I was the quiet voice behind the curtain. And she had no idea where the next hit might come from. She waited a full week before calling again. I hadn't blocked her. I could have. I thought about it every day. But there was something strangely satisfying about letting her messages pile up unanswered, like fallen leaves collecting outside a locked door no one would ever open again. When she finally did call, I was sitting in my car in the parking lot behind a grocery store I didn't usually go to. I wasn't even shopping. I was just driving aimlessly again, letting my thoughts move in circles until the sound of her name on the screen stopped everything. I didn't answer at first, just watched it ring. It felt like a test, like she wasn't calling for me, but for herself, to prove she still could. But when she called again 30 seconds later, I picked up without thinking. Her voice was calm at first, too calm, that thin kind of composure people wear when they've rehearsed their lines. "Vernon," she said, like it was still her right to say my name. "I just want to talk." No yelling, no games, I didn't say anything. "I don't know what's happening online," she continued, her breath catching like she was trying not to sound shaken. "But people are reaching out to me, asking if something happened, if I said something about you. Did you do something, Vernon?" Still, I said nothing. Just let her fill the silence, which she did, like she always does when she's losing control. "I admit things were strained," she said. "I know I wasn't perfect. But I never meant to hurt you." I almost laughed. That word again, meant, as if intent erases impact. She kept going. "Whatever you think you saw or heard, I swear it's not what it looks like. Owen was he was someone to talk to, someone who made me feel seen." That was the final twist of the knife. Seen. She had no idea she was talking to the man who had spent years sitting in front of her, growing smaller by the day, just waiting to be looked at like a person again. I waited until she stopped talking, until the air hung heavy with expectation, until I could feel her straining to hear my voice. Then I ended the call. No response, no closure. Just the click of a man who no longer needed to explain himself. And it was that silence, not the note, not the voice memo, that finally broke her. It wasn't revenge, it wasn't payback. What I did next, what I left behind, wasn't meant to hurt her. It was simply meant to end things honestly for the first time in years. I returned to the apartment quietly one afternoon when I knew she'd be gone. The place looked exactly the same, and yet everything about it felt foreign, like I was walking through a photograph of my old life. Her coffee mug still sat in the sink. A scarf I bought her last winter was tossed on the couch. And on the fridge, held by a magnet shaped like a cat, was a note she'd scribbled weeks ago. "Buy lemons. Don't forget funny." After everything, she still thought I'd come back and buy lemons. I didn't take much. Just what I came for. A small black box I'd left in the closet. Inside were old photographs, a pocket journal, and a folded letter I had written long before any of this happened. I had forgotten about it until that morning. It was the letter I wrote to her on our 5th anniversary, but never gave her. Back then I thought it was too emotional, too vulnerable. Now it felt like something she needed to read, a reminder of the version of me she threw away. So I left it, on the table. No envelope, no signature, just the letter, and beside it, the key to the apartment. I didn't write a new goodbye, didn't scribble a final warning. I'd already said everything I needed to say without speaking a word. Then I walked out, locking the door behind me one last time. That was 4 months ago. Since then, my life hasn't been perfect, but it's been mine. I moved to a smaller place, started hiking again, joined a local writing group. Peter still checks in on me every Sunday. The fog lifted slowly. I don't flinch at her name anymore. I don't wake up hoping she'll call. And the best part? I can finally breathe without counting my breaths. She reached out once more, an email. Said she read the letter. Said she cried. Said she understood. I didn't respond, because closure doesn't always come from conversation. Sometimes it comes from walking away quietly and choosing peace over proving a point. And that's exactly what I did. End of story. If you made it to the end, thank you for joining me on this emotional journey. Now it's your turn. Tell us in the comments about a historical moment that changed how you see silence, truth, or walking away. Maybe something in your own life. Maybe something from the past we should all learn from. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Reddit Confessions for more powerful stories like this one.